Mike, as we know, millions of people were protesting in Brazil against austerity measures, various cuts to Social Security and pensions and so on. But are Brazilians just as aware of how deep these corruption scandals are running, you know, from the car wash to now the meat scandal, and how it all ends up in terms of the political legislators?
People are aware. I think one of the big things was last year's the whole coup process really woke people up to a lot of ways of just the tainted political system in Brazil. Of course, people understand corruption as a way of life here, right? It's not just on a political level. The local parallels what's happening in politics on the national scale. And so people understand it. It just runs through, you know, people's lives. They see it on television, and they just understand it in their own neighborhoods. But the level of it, it just keeps coming. There was a new scandal that just broke today, actually, from Rio de Janeiro, where Supreme Court justices in Rio de Janeiro have been caught up in something else. So yeah, it just keeps happening. I think the propaganda around this, and I think this is something important for your audience to understand about what's happening in Brazil. So the corruption is particularly within Congress is huge, right? When Dilma was taken out of office last year, 2/3 of the Senate in the Congress that voted for her to be taken out are themselves under investigations for crimes and corruptions and whatever else. And so this is kind of endemic within this system. But the propaganda that we've seen against this has been something else. Temer, right, the Temer government, which I think we've had 6 people or over 6 people that have stepped down since he came to power, like early, you know, last spring sometime, because of so many people getting caught up with corruptions that has to do with the Lava Jato scandal or this or that. And Temer is now paying very large sums of money for one of the biggest propaganda campaigns they've had in a really long time. So I think that's an important thing to understand, that in terms of the political system, the government is really trying to push this. The media is also playing these games, so it's always spinning the corruption as if it's coming from the Workers' Party, as if it's coming from Lula, as if it's coming from the PT and the left. So although people understand kind of what's happening, what you see if you've turned on Global, which is kind of the main television station, what you see if you're reading Veja is that things are looking up, the economy is looking better, the light at the end of the tunnel, and really the people that have been blamed, that are blamed for this current moment, needs to be Lula and the PT, and it's the exact opposite is what the reality is. Now the PT, of course, there was corruption happening, there was corruption under the Lula administration and under Dilma when the PT was in power, but that was happening within the larger political system. There were the PMDB and several other parties were even more corrupt at the same time. PMDB and several other parties were even more corrupt at the same time. And so what we're hearing, and what you hear when you watch the news, is the PT, and that Lula is bad. Why is that happening? Because the next elections are in 2018. Temer cannot run again because of his own corruption scandals against him. So he cannot actually be elected for office, and yet he's the president.
And thank you for joining us here on the Real News Network.